and welcome to Swim Chats, a podcast about swimming. I'm Shona Riddell, a writer and swimmer from Wellington, Aotearoa, New Zealand. For each episode, I talk to a different guest from our swim community. Please hit the follow button so you don't miss an episode. You can also leave a 5-star rating or review, which helps other people to discover the podcast. Please consider sharing this episode with a friend or two. And finally, to support the podcast and to help me continue running Swim Chats, you can become a swim buddy for $5 a month on Patreon. To find out more, go to patreon.com/swimchats. There's a link to it in the episode show notes. So yeah, first of all, how are you feeling, Eddie? You've had an eventful few months.
Much better than when it happened. So I broke my neck. It's now 7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
In a bike accident, one of those from nowhere random moments, front tire blowout at about 30k an hour, and I dislocated and broke my C6 vertebrae.
Yeah.
And it has been pretty hard, but I do feel I'm coming back to life now. I've lost a lot of strength in my both arms. I've got no temperature sensation in my left leg, which might be very handy for swimming in cold water. We'll see. And but that's all coming back, so it's quite a big deal. But
that's a massive thing to happen. And will you be able to get back to swimming at some point soon, or is it just too early to know when?
No, I've been given the go ahead straight away, but I haven't got around to doing it yet.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's not the easiest time of year to get back in the water either in mid-June.
Well, this Sunday, of course, is the shortest day, and we have our shortest day swim. So I'm going to be getting in the water for that. And how I'm going to get on, I don't know, because I've gone from not swimming for 7 weeks to straight into
the
11-degree water. So we'll see.
Yeah, just maybe don't go too far for that first one. See how you feel.
Yeah.
But welcome to Swim Chats anyway, and thanks. I really appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy person with a lot going on.
Well, not so much at the moment.
Less at the moment, right. And just for people who don't know you, do you want to quickly explain what Ruby Fresh wetsuits are and do?
The wetsuits are a little project of mine, which has now grown into sort of most of my waking hours. I wanted to make a wetsuit specifically for fresh water because I thought all the suits I'd worn, they could be improved. And I did lots of research into wetsuits, neoprenes, swim dynamics, and so on, and came up with my very own wetsuit designed around the need for fresh water. And originally I thought, well, there must be wetsuits made for fresh water. It would be obvious that they must exist. But the more I looked, I saw that no brands, or there wasn't a wetsuit specifically designed for fresh water. And I thought, well, I'm gonna make one. And that's basically what happened. I spoke with Yamamoto in Japan. They put me in touch with a couple of factories. I did a number of samples, a lot of sampling for best part of nearly a year of trying different shapes and designs. And I finally put an order in, which I crowdfunded. So my very first suits were crowdfunded via Pledge Me. And I made 110 suits, and those suits hit New Zealand in 2019. I got great response. They were all sold. Half of them were sold to the original pledges. And just over time, I did a second version, did 250 suits. And I'm now on to my third version, because the 250 suits, I've got 4 left. Between the male and female suits, I've got 4 suits left of those, and I'm now in version 3, which I made 600 suits. So I've made a new suit called the Echo, which has lesser buoyancy for those swimmers who are actually already very buoyant, and that allowed me also to properly attack the salt water market here in New Zealand, which is wise because most swimmers in New Zealand live near the coast. So now I have essentially a saltwater suit, but it's actually designed around the needs of very good or very proficient freshwater swimmers. So
Yeah.
that's
I love that. I love that can-do attitude of just deciding to design your own wetsuit, seeing a gap in the market, and your background. You were a engineer, is that right? So you,
yeah. um, I've got an honours degree in engineering design right back in the day, and um, I well, when you say I didn't, I haven't used it. I've used it for everything I've done, but not but not necessarily how it was intended. Um, so yeah, I've got a design background. I love making and designing things. Um, and over the years, I've done so many different projects in publishing and in events. And I don't know if you have this problem, but I often get asked, "So, what do you do for a living?" And I've always found that really hard to quantify. Having worked for myself, I've worked for myself pretty much since I left uni. Um, so I just say now I'm a designer, because if you sort of you someone asks you that question and you can't give a direct answer, often people go, "Well, that's a bit odd. What do you mean you don't know what you do for a living?"
yeah,
Yeah, so now I just say I'm a designer, and
yeah.
most people go, "Oh yeah," and then the conversation moves on. And a few people say, "Oh, what do you design? What sort of design?" So then I can go into what I do.
I can really relate to what you're saying because I'm the same. I like to do lots of different things, and it's hard to sum up. And I really like the idea of using Pledge Me as well. How you did crowdfunding to start the business. I used Kickstarter to fund my first book, which was a children's book, and it's a great way to do things because then you have a guaranteed sort of customer base, and you have the money up front. So you're not just creating this product and then hoping that you will then have the customer base to sell it to you. You've already made the sales, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely correct. Although just getting to the threshold, I had to do some very last minute phone arounds for an extra £5 to get to that last threshold. But uh,
Yeah.
that all happened.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I keep thinking whether to do another crowdfunding round for my next development, but I actually find it really quite hard work trying to. It's almost like doing a mini IPO. The paperwork you have to do to get the crowdfunding, whichever platform you're using. I don't think I'd use Pledge Me again.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that. I think I can now continue the development of Ruby Fresh just through its own
Yeah. You've got
business.
that brain recognition now.
Yeah,
And we can't remember if we've mentioned, but you're based in Wānaka. And so for people who are listening who might be more ocean swimmers, the difference with freshwater swimming is that obviously there's no salt, so you're less buoyant, and it's often cooler temperatures. So that's why you designed the freshwater wetsuit to start with, right?
yeah.
To handle those conditions.
The main difference is the buoyancy. There's quite a lot of difference. People who come down, say, for the Ruby Swim, or they come down for Challenge Wānaka, and they haven't really done much swimming in freshwater, and they really, really notice the difference. So there is quite a big change there. And the other point about temperature, even though it gets relatively warm in summer, it can get up to 20 degrees. That is for a very short period of time. So either side of the main season, if you have a suit that keeps you warmer through those shoulder seasons, you can just swim for longer. So that was the other point, to keep you warmer. So I've got elements in the suit it's almost a thermal suit without being a traditional thermal suit in a way.
Yeah. You've got titanium in the wetsuits, right?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of titanium. The whole torso and the back of the legs has a titanium foil layer to reflect body heat back to you.
And how thick are they?
The wetsuits?
Yeah.
Yeah. The main section of the suit is 5mm aerodome neoprene in the flow suit, and then that panel is 4mm in the eco wetsuit. So my best suit, the flow, is 5mm, and then various thicknesses in different parts of the suit. So the arms are 1.6, the arms and the lap panels all down your back and side. Then there's 3mm, 4mm, 2mm. So I've got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.6mm in the suit in different places for different requirements of a good swim.
Yeah, cool. And we met in person last November when I was down in Wānaka, and I came down into the shop and tried on some wetsuits and ended up buying one because you're a good salesperson. And I bought one of the Echos because I'm mostly a sea swimmer. And it was the first time I'd had a proper fitting. I'd owned wetsuits for a few years, but generally just buy them online. And I realized that I was actually wearing the wrong size. So that was a good lesson for me.
So what did I put you in? You were a medium?
It was like a woman's small medium, a small medium.
Oh, that's right. A medium small. That's right.
Yeah, medium small. Yeah. So do you mostly have online sales? Because I imagine you're selling them around New Zealand and then overseas as well now, right?
It's all online. It's direct to consumer. That allows me to keep a really good price point because I'm shopping out 2 full margins from the traditional method, where there's an importer, the importer sells to a shop, and then the shop sells to the consumer, the customer. I've got rid of the importer and I've got rid of the shop. Then, because there's no shop and wetsuits being what they are, people like to come and touch and feel and try on. It's sort of a requirement. So I send suits around the country to demo, to fit, and to go for swimming in if people want to, and then they send them back. So that works fine for New Zealand. And being New Zealand, everyone knows everyone, and it's not that big a market. That's easy to do. I have been pushing into Australia lately, and well, for this the season we've just had, the summer season, I've made some sales into Australia, and I've found if it's a male buyer, males don't need so much fitting help. So they just buy one, they go, oh yeah, that's going to fit me fine. And males are easy to fit and to please. The difficulty comes if it's a female buyer, and the female form can be so different. Even someone who ought to be a size, they just might find that one part of the suit doesn't fit, and they prefer to be a little bit bigger just for ease of putting on and taking off.
Yeah.
So there are many different aspects to what constitutes a good fit, especially for a female. So now going back to Australia, trying to do a return from Australia, now that's expensive and super hard, because essentially the buyer has to pay for the return. Well, that's really expensive. So to overcome that, I have got I want to have a distributor in Australia, and I haven't quite got what I want, but I've got a very good close what I need there at the moment. And I'm using, well, I say using, a chap called Jeff Morris, who is the owner of Ultraman Australia and soon to be Ultraman New Zealand, which occurs in Wānaka in December of this year. He's acting as my Australian importer distributor. So now when I have a problem with a return, they can send it to him. He then hangs on to it. And if I get more a new sale or something, he will then send that person the demo.
Right. Yeah.
And then they can try that on, and then I will send one direct. So it's a little bit of a convoluted process overseas at this stage.
Yeah.
But there are mechanisms in place as we speak to sort of cure that.
To mitigate that, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the downfalls with something like a wetsuit, which has to be a good fit to be functioning properly. Overseas and returns is the big hurdle. So I'm solving that hopefully in time for the coming season in Australia. And then that will carry on for any other country I want to work with. So there needs to be someone in the country to function as the distributor.
To keep the postage domestic,
yeah. But they will also become the direct-to-consumer outlet for that country. Now I've got a whole mechanism to make that work, and I supply them with a website, and it will all function. But I'm not quite there yet. But my plans are to push into other countries over the next 2 years.
It's in development. Oh, that's cool. And I'm based here in Wellington, and I should mention that, you know, some people don't wear wetsuits for various reasons. Sometimes it's because they're marathon swimmers, and, you know, so they need to not wear them to qualify for their swims. And some people just don't want to wear them. I'm curious to know, are the swimmers in Wānaka mostly wetsuit swimmers, or do you have a variety down there?
There's a variety, but I would say, mostly are wetsuit swimmers.
Yeah.
Like open water swimming now has become, you know, quite a thing, and there are more and more people swimming. And then the purist, there are many people just want to be. They don't want to have the hassle of having to put on a wetsuit, take it off, and then they might. The act of swimming au naturel, shall we say, is very, very appealing, even if that means getting really cold and the effects of the cold afterwards. They would rather do that than have to either use a wetsuit for various reasons or not. So most people in Wānaka do wear a wetsuit, but there's an increasing number who don't want to wear a wetsuit for those reasons I just said. They're purists. They want to experience the tingle of the cold on their skin and just feel more at one, more in touch with the water and nature, I suppose.
Yeah.
For me, I've got my buoyancy. I'm not a great swimmer by any means. So I'm a real sinker, as I call them. And so when it's really warm, I've developed some buoyancy shorts to bring my bum and my hips up. So then I'm basically almost in togs, and I actually really do enjoy it. But what I don't enjoy is if I'm out in maybe 15-degree water in my buoyancy shorts, and I'm out for more than 45 minutes in 15-degree, or this is me personally, 15 degrees or lower. Takes me a long time to get back to being warm, and I can't be bothered with that process. So for me, wearing a wetsuit is I can go swimming in relatively cold temperatures for quite a long time with my wetsuit on, and when I finish, I'm cold for a little while, but then I can get on with my day or the afternoon. So for me, that's the thing.
And did you say that you designed the buoyancy shorts for yourself?
So essentially they're the whole wetsuit. They're the buoyancy level. I've got a name called the buoyancy tray, TM. Okay, and it's basically the part of the wetsuit that's doing the lifting around the bum and thighs. Everything else is cut away, and it's left with this central area.
Right, gotcha.
Short, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And so for people listening who do wear wetsuits, what sort of tips would you give them for looking after their wetsuit and helping it last longer?
There's putting it on and taking it off, but when it's not on, you should keep it inside out, dry it inside out and leave it inside out. But then putting it on, I think you just have to be really careful. You can't pull the suit on with great big pulls and grabs because neoprene is intrinsically very delicate. So you have to be really careful, essentially, but just as careful taking it off as putting it on. So when you're taking it off, it's easy to just grab the sides and just pull it down really, really quickly. And that's going to be straining the seams and you'll rip it just as easily from the inside as you do putting it on from the outside. That would be a different rip. So I suppose neoprene, like it's not like a surf wetsuit where you've got the nylon outer and the nylon inner, and that helps with abrasion. But with a swim triathlon style wetsuit, it's just really flipping. They're delicate, and you've got to be careful putting them on and taking them off. So, yeah. But I don't know if there's any tips as such, other than being careful, not using your nails, using the pads of your fingers, and
or
doing
gloves.
it slowly.
Mm.
And gloves, yeah, definitely. I've put wetsuit.
Well, I thought your tip about keeping it inside out was good. That was one I didn't know. So I started doing that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you should keep your wetsuit inside out to store it.
Yeah.
Because there's no UV, and then store it in shade, not out in the sun, and dry it not in the sun. But then you're keeping the UV off the neoprene, and it's the neoprene that breaks down over time.
Yeah.
Because I swim, I try to do about 200k a year in the lake. So I'm swimming every week. I'm swimming throughout the year, and 2 or 3 times a week. And I know 2k a swim roughly or more. Now, people always ask, how long should a wetsuit last? Well, the common answer is how many seasons? It should last 2 or 3 seasons at least. But that's not reality, because it depends how far you swim. So I'm moving now to saying how many kilometers a wetsuit should last for. And I'm currently, my flow wetsuit, which uses the top grade 40 Yamamoto grade neoprene in all the stretchy areas, so the whole shoulder, the arm, under the arm. I'm on 400, pretty much on 400k at the moment, over 2 years. I'm a little bit over that, but it's just now beginning to pit and stretch under the armpits, which is a common fault area.
Yeah.
So my suits, I'm saying, they last 400 kilometers. Now that could be a year for some people, or it could be 2 years, or it could be 6 years. People only swimming 30, 40k a year.
Yeah. So depends how much they swim. Yeah.
So I'm trying to pull away from a suit should last X number of seasons to, if you look after your suit and store it, it should last you 400k, 500k perhaps. I think 600 would be pushing it, but that's almost that. Those are my sort of design parameters. 400k for a wetsuit before it's worn out. And
cool. You mentioned the Ruby Swim earlier, so I'm keen to talk about that. So this is an event late January, usually, is that right? And is this an event that you created?
Yeah, so the Ruby Swim happens at the last weekend of the school holidays in January every year. So that's approximately the 25th of January, give or take. And that came about the first event happened in 2015. And I created that with my good friend here in Wānaka, Jamie Norman, and we go swimming in the evenings. Well, we have a beer on the side of the lake afterwards, and Jamie said one thing, because Jamie's from Wānaka and he's born and bred here, and like the concept of swimming out to Ruby Island was quite a big deal, and he'd done it, a few times when he was a kid and just swimming out there with his mates. But it was almost like this distant island far offshore, which was really, you didn't really swim out there very often. It wasn't a thing. And then he just said, "Oh, we should. Why don't we do an event? Let's do an event swimming around Ruby Island." Now, I've got quite a background in events, you see, because I ran events in the UK, in the snowboard, in the UK snowboard scene. Yeah. So I went, yeah, we can do an event. Oh, that's a great idea. Let's run an event. So almost as a throwaway comment, a little idea nurtured, and we did all the work and created the Ruby Swim. And we did all the work in 2014. We had to get a resource consent at the time. We had to talk to DOC. We had to do so many permits and so on. LINZ, Land Information New Zealand, a multitude of bits of paperwork, and we got that together. And it we launched it. We had 200 people, just under 200 people booked, and that was for 2015.
And that's quite a lot for a first event, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think it was under 200, but 185. I'm not sure, but it was in that vicinity because I've actually forgotten it. But the terrible thing was it didn't happen.
Oh.
Because everyone turned up. We'd done all the work, and we had a weather day. So it happened. It was planned for the Saturday, and the alternate day, the weather day, was the next day, the Sunday. But we didn't think for a second we'd have to use it. But it was there as a contingency. So on the day, on the Saturday, it was blowing 35 knots of wind.
Yeah,
and that's 35 knots is pushing 55 kilometer an hour winds. So we couldn't do it. And we went to the next day. But of course, we discovered that the volunteers aren't available. The professional staff we have, they are only booked in for that day. It was going to cost us double. Many of the competitors, well, we're not here for 2 days. We're only here for 1 day. So the next day, we tried again, got everything back together, went out there, and it was even windier. It was big.
Oh, no.
Yeah, It was even bigger. So, sorry, on the second day, it was starting blowing 35 knots. On the Saturday, we were at like 35k an hour winds. And on the Sunday, it was like 55k an hour winds. So we had to cancel it. We cancelled our very first event. It never kicked off. And because we felt so bad about that, we then offered everyone free entry to next year, which of course was a nice thing to do, but impossible because then we didn't make any money next year.
Right.
So we learned a lot through that process. And
so many logistics in running events, eh?
So much. And such as it is now, we don't have a contingency day because of the reasons I said. Like, people aren't available. It's too hard. Life's busy at the moment. People have got the time for when they've booked.
Yeah.
The professional people
have traveled
and time. You have to pay double, so it either happens or it doesn't happen. But now it's gone on to be, well, quite a big deal. It's a really good event. It gets a good vibe. We self-limit capacity to just under 500 competitors. If the QLDC, Queenstown Lake District Council, the rules have changed for events here, and if you have 500 or more people on site, not spectators, but competitors, volunteers, and staff, you then have to go through the resource consent angle again.
Okay.
And we really don't want to go. It's very expensive and time consuming to do that. But secondly, we've always felt that to keep the quality of the swim and have that the feeling that it's got, we don't want to go over 500 people. That's plenty of people in the water to have to deal with, and the vibe you get from a relatively small event. We try to keep that. I'm sure that we could go to 600 or 800 people, but we don't want to do that. So we've kept it at that 500 capacity or just under.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when I was in Wānaka last year with my swim friends, you kindly took us on a swim out to Ruby Island and told us a bit about the history. And so the island used to be a speakeasy or something, didn't it? Sort of during Prohibition, people would sit out there and have a drink.
That's right. Yeah, there's lots of folklore and stories about that. So it was when was speakeasy so when was that Prohibition? Using 2025? I'm not sure when it was.
Yeah, it would have been around then.
Yeah.
Good 100 years ago.
So because it's offshore, the police couldn't do a quick raid, and if the police were coming, you could see them coming, right? So there was a dance floor built, so an area at the top of the island was leveled, and then a full wooden dance floor put in, and then and roofed. So it was an open-sided, almost outdoor, covered dance floor with all the fun and music and frivolity you'd expect that happens at the dances. So and there's stories of the police coming over to raid it, but obviously everyone could see who was coming, even at night time.
And hide the evidence.
That's right, hide the evidence. And that would have been an amazing time to be around, I think, in those years.
It's a great story, and it's such a beautiful swim as well. I'm not very used to lake swimming, and the day we went, it was perfect weather. The wind was just picking up as we got back, so we timed it perfectly in the morning. And the water's just so clear, and every time you turn to breathe, you're looking at these snow-capped mountains.
Yeah, exactly that. It's what I love about when I sort of discovered swimming in the lake. I love that when it's so clear you can see the bottom of the lake if you're swimming relatively near the shore, so you get a really crystal view of what's going on under the water, all the logs and the terrain, as it were, underwater. And then your other eyes sort of, as you're breathing, looking up at all the surrounding mountains with snow on or not, or when you get to autumn, all the trees are changing, it's golden, and it's a beautiful environment to swim in. And then I actually love going swimming just on my own. Everyone says, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," but I love swimming on my own. And then you're in the whole, like, the zen of swimming. You're just counting your breaths, you're analyzing your stroke, what's your hand doing, is it crossing over, and all those things. And then you're making sure your legs are doing the right thing, trying to get your catch right, and then you become aware of what's around you as well. And I really, that's the love of it for me. The environment, and
you just feel like you're part of everything, don't you? And it's like swimming in a postcard. It's just so beautiful. I'm actually planning on coming down next January for the Ruby swim. Yeah, and I really like how you offer different distances, because the level of swimming I'm at, I feel like 2.5 isn't quite far enough for me, and 5 is, I mean, I could probably do it, but it's pushing it, whereas sort of about 4 is about my happy place. And so you offer so many options for people, up to 10K, right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's like the Ruby Island and its place within the lake it's the perfect distance gauge. It's 600 meters offshore. So,
yeah.
And for many people, they've always wanted to swim to Ruby Island, but they don't like the idea of it. And it's deep, you go over like 80-meter depth going out there. So that's a hurdle, a mind hurdle right there, swimming through deep water. So there's a 600 meters, which is for people who just want to try it and see. Then, of course, double that there and back, 1.2, which is like completely achievable. But then the island itself, going out to the island and going around it, well, to go around the island is 1.2 kilometers around the island. So add that, it's around the island is then 2.5 kilometers. So 1.2 there and back, plus another 1.2, you're at 2.4, 2.5K. And then if you go around the island again, then you get the Ironman distance, because that's another 1.2K. So that brings you to 3.7, 3.8K. So it's like it's been perfectly placed, the island,
for swimmers,
to create these perfect swim distances. And then you've got the 2.5K lap. So you do that twice for 5K and 4 times for 10K, which is now marathon distance swimming. So all on its own, we didn't, the island's there, but it's as if, because we do live in a simulation, right?
Of course, yeah.
The game of swimming, as we are enjoying it, the Ruby swim is part of that perfect swim environment. And
I like that. Yeah.
So cool.
I
just made that up, by the way. But.
Oh, well, that sounded good. No, I agree. We've talked a little bit about lake swimming compared with ocean swimming. And obviously when you're swimming in a lake, there are different things you need to think about. And so I was doing a bit of research because I haven't done a lot of lake swimming, but I came across the terms duck itch and lake snot. So I wondered if you wanted to talk a bit about those. I know you've been a bit involved in the conservation of the lake down there.
Yeah. So let's do lake snot is a algae, and otherwise known as lake snow is a nicer way of calling it.
That's much nicer. Yeah,
it's much nicer. So it's an algae that it's called Lindavia is the Latin technical name for it. It's a relatively new addition to the lake. I mustn't get confused with the rock snot, which was another thing that's happened in the rivers, which came from a fisherman coming over from Canada or America, which brought that particular bug. But the actual Lindavia lake snow, it's called lake snow because it clumps together and it sits in the water column at various sizes, but small. And it sort of, because it sits in the water column, it sort of looks like a flake of snow. But then when you swim through it, it then sticks to you. And that's when it becomes lake snot, right? Because it sticks to you and looks pretty bad and green. Mm-hmm. It's really affected the fishing in the lake, because if you're trawling behind the boat and you've got the line in the water, as you're going through the lake, it literally picks up all this gumpy algae, and then when you reel it in, it all gets stuck around your reel, and so it's a real problem. Again, with the people from Wānaka, they drink the lake water, but that lake snot, lake snow, the Lindavia, is a real problem to be filtered out, and it's an expensive real problem. So that's that side of things. It can't be fixed. It's not. It's once it's here, it's here. So that's a shame. And I can remember swimming around Ruby Island, the back side, the eastern side of the island, and the rocks were all like shiny rocks. Now they do have a little layer of algae on them, and I can remember that not being there. Mm. So that's a shame. The other thing is the duckage. Well, duckage is it's a parasite, really. It's I've just forgotten the Latin name, but it's an organism that moves between the scalp duck, SCAUP. There's little black ducks. They look so cute, and it moves between the duck and down to a snail on the bed of the lake. And it's if you're swimming near a duck, it's not the duck that's causing this problem. It's the parasite moving between two hosts, the host of the duck and the host of the snail. And if you happen to be swimming through the middle of those two hosts while the parasite's looking for its next host, it lands on you and it tries to burrow into your skin and you get bitten. Essentially, it's not a bite. You're being intruded by a parasite. And that's when your body reacts to that through its natural immunity system. And you get covered in little red marks. And it's pretty uncomfortable and very, very itchy. Some people are more susceptible than others. And it happens in the warmer climes, from as we come into summer, for most of summer. And it also happens in areas of the lake where the wind is blowing onto it. So you can find areas of the lake which do not have as much duckage, but it's a lottery. So
does wearing a wetsuit help protect you from duckage?
Absolutely, because it's covering your skin, so there's less chance of being attacked by the parasite. But you still get duckage around the neck at the top of, on your neck where your suit's not. And if your suit's a bit loose, not too tight, the water's entering and flowing, flushing through, and you can still get duckage in other parts of your body. But really, that's another good reason to wear a wetsuit in the lake at certain times of the year.
A Ruby Fresh wetsuit.
Ruby Fresh wetsuit, yes. Yeah. But we found that threshold of temperature is at about 14 degrees, and we don't find duckage occurring below that, not much. Certainly not at 13 or 12 degrees. But once you're at 15 or 16 degrees, then the parasites are moving again, and you can get duckage. Yeah.
And when, on a more positive note, when we were when our swim group was down there, which was sort of late spring, we saw a lot of the puteketeke bird, which is the Australasian crested grebe. That was bird of the year a couple of years ago, famously celebrated by John Oliver, the talk show host, who campaigned for it internationally. Yeah. So how the puteketeke doing at the moment? Do you know?
Grebes now they're a thriving species in Wānaka, thanks to the efforts of John. Oh damn! I've forgotten his surname. It will come to me. A local chap here, well into his 80s, who's actually taken it upon himself to look after the grebes. He has created little nesting areas all around the marina in Wānaka. If you're down here, you'll see little boxes floating on the water.
Yes, we did see them when we were there. Yeah,
they're grebe nesting boxes. And John is now must be 84, 85, and so what he's done, that mantle has been taken over by other people in the community, and they're now looking after the grebes. To the extent that there's too many, almost, there's but they're not an issue with duckage. They're not a host for duckage.
Yeah,
they are the scorp for duckage, and there is a type of geese duckage which is different. I could go into a lot more detail on that for other things, but I won't. But the grebes are going great guns, basically, and you see them now all over the lake, rather in just you might have see them here and there. Now they're really all over the place, and they're so beautiful. They've got those big gills of feathers on either side of their head and on the crest on top of their head. And they're really cool to look at. And of course, they dive down underwater, and you do see them swimming along, which gives you a fright. But yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, I'll share a picture in the episode show notes for people who aren't familiar with them. But yeah, it was exciting to see them when we were down there.
Yeah.
So
No, they are cool.
yeah, you talked a bit about your own swimming. Have you always been a swimmer, or was it something you took up more when you moved to Wānaka?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm what's it called? What's that term when you're a pretender? What's it called?
Imposter?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I almost do feel like I have some imposter syndrome about swimming because I would say I'm a relatively good swimmer now. You know, I'm not bad, but I never was a competitive swimmer, so I don't really think I'm a great swimmer. I'm not particularly fast, but I'm okay, but I can go quite a long way. So it all came about really from when my kids were in swim class. I'm on the side of the pool, and I'm just watching them going through swim class. I thought, well, I'm not gonna. Why am I sitting and watching? I might as well get in the pool. So I sort of started swimming again, just doing a few lengths. Then I entered a very low-key triathlon, and it was only a 400-meter swim, and I couldn't even swim the 400 meters. I couldn't breathe. I had to stand up. I walked most of it, and then did the bike and the run. Very small one. But then I thought, well, I do actually want to get better at swimming. So I just persevered, basically. The kids went through competitive swimming. My son went a bit further than my daughter. My son, Wilfred, actually, he's one of the models on my Ruby Fresh website. You'll see him there. He's an excellent swimmer. And I suppose one thing just led to another is what happened. I liked swimming later in the day rather than the morning. I bought a wetsuit. I remember the time I bought a Blue 70. I bought a Reaction. I put it on for the first time. It was such a thrill having a proper swim wetsuit. And I remember my very first strokes taken with my Blue 70 wetsuit. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's like having a dolphin skin on. And my legs are higher, and I actually feel I love this. I love the feeling of moving through the water in that manner, combined with where I was, and I just thought, I'm going to do a bit more swimming. So it wasn't something I planned. I just sort of fell into it through my kids and the swim club, the competitive swim club, which I ended up on the committee of for like 7 or 8 years. And then swimming with my friend Jamie, and then starting the Ruby Swim because it seemed like a good idea, because it would be great fun to do an event again. And from that, then through my engineering and my creative making things background, I thought, well, I'm going to make a wetsuit to further enhance the feeling and the enjoyment I get from swimming in the lake. And that's really what's happened.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah.
I love that so much that, it's gone from not being able to, swim 400 meters to now you're an integral part of the swim community, making your own wetsuits, running events, working in lake conservation. It's amazing where life can take you, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Like, currently I haven't swum for 7 weeks because I broke my neck, but I feel that I could almost, my swimming was at the state where I could almost, off the couch, go and swim 10K. And I never would have dreamt of that. I mean, I can certainly, off the couch, go and swim 5K. And it's just almost I could easily do that. 10K. So I've gone from literally not understanding the concept of having to breathe, and breathing is what makes you allow you to swim, and then, you know, getting coached and getting my technique better, and then self-analyzing my technique, and then just constantly swimming, where I probably am. I still feel I'm not a good swimmer, but people say, no, you're Eddie, you're a really good swimmer. You're excellent. So all of those things have happened just by sticking with it, you know, and just letting one thing follow into the next, I suppose.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And yeah, you're such, I mean, if it's not too corny to say, you're such an important part of the swim community, and you're doing so
Find that
much.
hard to hear, you know.
And I'm really sorry about your accident, but I'm glad that you're recovering from it and able to keep swimming and doing the things that you do.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I've really appreciated your time today and enjoyed our chat. Is there anything else you want to mention that we haven't already covered?
No.
And if there isn't, that's okay too.
Well, I'll think of something almost as soon as we stop talking.
Well, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the way.
No, I think the swim community. Like, I've got a background in action sports, right? And some of my friends back in the UK, so I'm British. I moved here in 2002. My friends say, "What are you doing swimming? Isn't that really boring?" I've got a background in snowboarding, skateboarding, downhill mountain biking, and all these things. And now I've moved into swimming, which almost couldn't be more different to that. But what I found is the swim community and what swimming attracts is a really inviting, strong. Everyone seems to look after each other, which I really appreciate. And the other thing is that there is no age limit for swimming.
Yeah,
you can swim from the very young to the very old, and you still get the same enjoyment in so many different ways of swimming. So almost moving from action sports into swimming might seem bizarre, but I like doing everything I do has a solo aspect to it, like rock climbing as well. All those things I like doing it on my own. And swimming, I love doing that on my own, and just analysing what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So
and being in the moment, right? It really puts you in the moment.
Yeah. So I think the community is fantastic, and that's one of the things I love about it.
Yeah, completely agree. And I was going to say, with the Ruby swim, when do entries open for that?
They are open this year, approximately September the 1st.
Okay. I'll look out for that.
Yeah. So it'll open on September the 1st, but the dates are published. It's the 24th, I think, next year, isn't it? Or is it 23rd? I'll tell you right now. It's the 23rd of January, 2027. Okay.
People can put it in their calendars. And before we go, do you want to give the Ruby Fresh website a quick plug? What's the address?
Oh, well, it's if you just put in Google Ruby Fresh, Ruby Fresh wetsuits, it'll come up straight away. But it's rubyfreshwetsuits.com.
Yeah, and we'll put it in the show notes too.
Yeah, and that'd be great. And if there are any sporty people who love swimming who also want to invest in a fantastic business for worldwide domination, get in touch.
All right. Cool. Thank you so much for your time today, Eddie. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, good.
And I'll see you hopefully in January.
Yeah, well, I hope, come down, It'll be good. It'll be great. It's all kicking off.
Thanks for listening to Swim Chats. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it with a friend or two. Also remember to hit follow to be notified when I post new episodes. To help other people discover the podcast, you can rate and review it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. If you're a regular listener, please visit patreon.com/swimchats to support the pod. Enjoy the water, and we'll see you next time.